Hi everyone, it's Leilani. Welcome back to my channel. So today, friends, it is time to start a brand new summer series over here, my summertime junk journal. So I'm really excited to start this one up. I've been itching to do a few new projects that have been on my list here. So this is the first one that I will be sharing with you this summer. So this is actually the third summer junk journal that I have done. I have two other ones over on Patreon that I worked on, I think in 2022 and 2023. I will link them below. Now, all the process videos for those are over on Patreon in my archives, but I did do full, final, completed flip throughs over here on YouTube. So I will link those below if you haven't seen them. So one thing that I have done for all of these junk journals is I've started off with a children's book. So you'll see here I'm deconstructing this children's book. So I pick up a lot of these whenever I'm out thrifting. I love to just grab them, have them handy just in case I want to use any of the pages in junk journals, or I want to create an entire album using a children's book. They're really fun, and it's a great way to still be able to see the art and enjoy the book, but like take your own spin on it. You know, normally I wouldn't look through these at all. So now I get to enjoy all of this really cute art and give it a new home and new life. So for this one, I'm using this Richard Scarry book, which I did mention in my previous haul video. This was a book that I just already had on hand, although I have frequented some thrift stores this week, and I had an eye out to see if I saw any other like more specific to summertime like children's books, but I couldn't find anything else. But I really do like this one. It has great illustrations. They're nice and colorful, super cute, all of that. So that's what we are going to use. Now, what I did was I just deconstructed the book. So I just use a combo of my scissors and X-Acto knife and just make sure that I get the front and back cover off and all of the pages out of the book. And then sometimes I will cover the inside, front and back, which is what I'm doing here. Sometimes I won't, just depending on how they look, what condition they're in. Sometimes they'll have like big colorful illustrations inside. This one I did opt to cover with paper, and I do really like the way that looks. It gives it a nice finished touch, which I enjoy. Now, I am doing a little patchwork situation here, and that's because I only ended up with one sheet of each of my pattern papers, and that is because I ended up grabbing, on accident really, a project pad, which included one sheet of a few of the patterns and some sticker sheets, and then also I grabbed a few other pattern pages on my own to work with, and I only have one of each of those, so I didn't have enough paper to do the front and the back where they would match with only like one pattern. So I decided to do a little patchwork. You could, of course, mix and match the front and the back or whatever works for you. And I forgot to mention, I am using the new Paige Evans Happy Haven collection. So that's what I'm going to be using throughout. I think pretty much solely just that collection is what my plan is. I also have some of the like die cuts and things that we'll be using as well. So this is a rough version of a junk journal. I have a different kind of junk journal style that I want to try into the summer, and I have some videos planned for that. But this one is more a very polished junk journal to me. Like, it's all using one collection. It's all matchy, all that kind of thing. But for me, it feels like a junk journal compared to my regular scrapbooking because I am like using a deconstructed children's book. I'm using a lot of different patterns and textures and adding things like outside of the page protector and all that kind of stuff. So after I got all of my pages cut out of the book, I have my front and back cover off. I've also added the pattern paper into the inside of the front and back cover. Now it's time to create my other pages that will go inside of my book. So I am simply cutting down some of the pattern papers that I have. I'm cutting them, a lot of them, so I'm using a 12 by 12 sheet. I'm cutting them down to fit the exact size of my book. But then all of these little offcuts here that you're going to see, I'm going to use a lot of them to incorporate smaller pages or little like almost tags. I don't cut them into tags, but I may do that like throughout the book, but it kind of gives just a variety of different pages, which I really like. And I also like that this particular paper pad here only is one-sided, and then the other pages that I already cut were double-sided. And I actually enjoy the white side of the paper in a junk journal because that way I will use some of the scraps and I'll just create my own patterns, and I kind of like having that white space to kind of break things up. So I'm definitely not mad at the fact that I do have some just one-sided papers, but some people do prefer the double-sided, and that works as well. So here I'm just going to cut everything down and then start to get all of my pages into place, and we'll start to create this album and really get it to look the way that we want it to. So as I'm doing this part, hello, I'll just chat with you for a minute. How have you guys been doing? Are you staying cool? It's been so crazy hot here, so humid. I mean, it's hard to go outside. I'm just not an outside girly in general, so it's tough for me. I'd rather be inside with the air conditioning, working in my craft room, but alas, I do have to go places sometimes, and I am stuck out in the hot summer sun sometimes, as little as possible. But with that said, I am trying to romanticize the season, enjoy all of the best parts of summer. And so that's why I love creating these little albums. They're fun to look back on as an overview of all of the best parts of the season. And I found that summer is a time that I don't overly document really. With like Halloween, I love to document. December, I love to document. There's so many things, but with summertime, I'm just not that type of person. So with creating an intentional book like this, I think it really helps me to think about things that I want to take pictures of and really get those memories put in a special little place and get them told, which I really enjoy. So here I have all of my pages cut out. I didn't cut out too many. Like I don't make this book too terribly thick because I'm planning on working on it throughout the next 3 months. So this is the very end of June. Well, I guess the next 2 months. So the very end of June. So I will have some pictures here from June, then also in July and August. So I'm not sure if there will be 2 or 3 more process videos, but they'll be spaced out. I have a few other projects that I'm going to be working on in between, but I will be sharing this to completion over here on YouTube. And so I didn't want to put too many pages in here because I don't know how many stories I'll have to tell, but I think that the amount that I put won't be too bad and that I should be able to fill all of this up in the next 2.5 months. So I think that's pretty exciting. So here I'm just putting everything together, trying to make it all work, adding in some of the smaller pages, trying to have a good mix of the double-sided and the one-sided, and then having all the book pages sandwiched in there and still telling the little story of the book. So now I have everything into place. So I'm going to pull out my cinch tool next. So this thing is really super easy and really fun to mess with. Now I am not doing a full tutorial or anything, but essentially what you do is I think the We Are Memory Keepers, I'm pretty sure, right? Is that the brand of the cinch? But it punches holes into whatever you want, and then you can create your own binded book. They also have spiral bound binding that you can buy, and you can buy it in all kinds of sizes and colors. It's super cute, and you can create your own book. So at this point, I'm just using all of the holes. You can make some of them not punch if you want to, so you can have all different types of sizes of albums as well. But for mine, I'm just punching all the holes here so you can see for some of the pages, I'll have bigger chunks of papers. And then for the front and back cover, I just have the cover in there. And then all of the holes are now punched. So it's really easy and it's a really fun little tool to have. I mean, out of all of the kind of scrapbooking machinery that I have bought, this one I've used a lot of times and it really does come in handy. So at this point, what you do is I popped on just my paper. So I think this is the correct way. It always works out for me. On the side, it has these little holders here, and that's where you put your little spiral binding. So mine is, I don't know the size, but it's pretty small and it's light pink, so super cute. So I'm adding in all of my papers. So I'm actually working from back to front. So I put on my last pages that I want to be the very last pages in the book. And then I'm working kind of backwards and popping all of the pages into these little spirals. Then once you get done and you have all your pages in there, you put your front cover on. And then I always put my back cover on upside down like that. And then you go to the back of the cinch and you put in what size your binding is. And then you just push down and it's going to cinch that binding together so that your book will stay together. So you can see now I have a little spiral bound notebook. Then you simply just fold it over and everything's into place. So I know that there are better tutorials out there. I had to watch an actual tutorial whenever I first started it. And I'm sorry, that's not my expertise. I'm here for entertainment purposes only and not really for the the tutorial learning bit of it all. So it's very easy to work with though. And it's one of my favorite tools that I've ever had. So now my book is together. I'm loving it. So then I decided with some of these scraps that I had, I would use my little tab punch. So this I just got off Amazon. I just simply typed in tab punch and this came up and it has been really cool and really fun. One of my favorite punches that I have, and it super comes in handy I've used it for a lot of my organizing and my craft room. I used it for all of my stamp organizing, but I've used it for a lot of projects. And I think it really gives things like a more, like a little extra detail, a special little touch to have like the tabs that match all the papers. I just think that that's pretty fun. Now this part I am going to speed up to supersonic speed. And that is just because I put a lot of tabs on and it takes a lot of time and you get the idea of what I'm doing. So I hope I don't make you seasick here, but I'm popping on all of the tabs. So I'm just folding them in half, adding a little adhesive, popping them into place. And then you just have something that makes it easier to turn the pages. And I just think it's a nice little detail. Also, some of my pages, they're probably not cut perfectly because if you know me, I'm really wonky with everything. I don't measure anything, all of that. So some of the pages were just like ever so slightly sticking out of the front and back cover. Like they were a little bit bigger than the front and back cover of the book. I mean, it was slight, but it was there. So I think by adding on these tabs, it kind of helps with that, like gives it that illusion that everything fits in there nicely. And it's not so obvious that it wasn't cut perfectly. Here, this was one of the papers that was in the project pad from Paige Evans, and now it shows all of the pattern papers that are in Happy Haven, and that was what kind of bummed me out because a lot of these papers I wish that I had, but I don't have them. So, and I don't see them on scrapbook.com. I'm sure they might be on another website, but at this point, I already had enough to work with this project. I have more than enough, so I'm just going with what I already have. But I thought that they were perfect for the tabs because then my tabs have multiple corresponding papers on them, and I like that they have like 2 patterns on each tab. I just thought that that was cute. So we're going to keep adding these on, and then after this, I believe we are going to do 1 page. I think that's what we'll do next. So I wanted to at least add 1 photo into this book, but it's going to take me a minute to get there, actually, because we are going to also add some ribbon. That's right. So I went through my little ribbon bins, and I found this one. And even though it's red, right, I don't think it is Christmassy because it has pink in it. And I don't remember where I got these. But if like I had to guess, I think it might have been somewhere like Home Goods or something, which is somewhere that I never go. I've only been to Home Goods like twice in my life, but I think that I found these big spools of ribbon there. And I thought, oh, this one's kind of cute because I thought it could go with December Daily with the red, and like sometimes the collections that I choose will have pink in them. So I don't know. I just thought that I would add it to my stash. But I liked it because even though the Happy Haven collection does not have red in it, a lot of the Richard Scarry like children's book pages do. So I thought that it kind of helped that and brought in like that bright color. And of course I like the little like tie-dye pink effect as well. So I used my hot glue gun. So I already had that turned on and ready to go. And so I added that to the front and back inside, and then it pops out on the outside. And that also definitely helped with what I was talking about with those pages being a little too big in the middle. It just helps everything to fit in there really nicely. And when don't you want to have like a cute little pom-pom trim on something, right? I would add it on everything, really. Then also with the Paige Evans collection, there were these little tassels. I had to get them. I thought I'll put one on my book and I'll save some of them. So I went with the yellow one, popped it into the like spiral binding, and I think that that looks really cute so far. So now I'm grabbing out all of the little die cut packs. So I do have the floral And like I mentioned in my haul, I'm not a huge floral person, but I just think for the junk journals, they're nice for layering and things like that. So I'm going to open the floral and pop those in. And then I also have the little journaling and other small embellishing pieces. I am pulling a few things out just to see if I wanted to use them on one of the first pages. And there was also a little imperfection that was kind of obvious on the front of the album. So I thought if I could find something to cover that up, I would. So I'm kind of keeping an eye out for that. But there were so many cute die cuts in here. Besides the floral, the other pack that has like journaling and stuff, I love these die cuts. There are so many adorable journaling, like little labels. And like you can see this little scalloped guy that I have sitting there, the white one. I love that. There was a bunch of tiny phrases. There was so many, little cute pieces that looked like packs of seeds and like so many cute, almost more spring to summer vibes. And I just really liked it. So here I found this small flag and I just thought it fit on there really nicely. It covered up that imperfection that was bothering me, but it blends in with the cover enough to not like stick out super bad. So for this first page, I just really wanted to add my dates. I thought about adding more of a title, but I think I'll just get into that as I go. But I wanted to add in my dates. So here I've added in just June, July, and August 2025 with no actual date in the middle, just the 3 months, just to show the span of this album. And then I grabbed out 3 of the flowers and I'm just going to layer them behind and then add a few other little stickers. So this is what I'm talking about with the florals. I do think that they're really cute for layering and they add a really nice pop of color. So I'm adding that on. And then I pull out some of my stickers. I have so many stickers that go with this collection because I have the actual cardstock sticker sheet right here, which these are really nice. And then also the project pad came with 2 12 by 12 packs of stickers. So I have plenty, but they're all really, really cute. I do enjoy the stickers a lot. So I'm going to add on a couple of these ladybugs and then I'm going to grab out the Tim Holtz phrase stickers, which I wasn't sure originally if I was going to use them, but I kind of like the juxtaposition of the really feminine, girly colors and the floral and all of that, and then kind of having the bold, like black and white typed, like the Dymo label maker kind of thing. I just kind of like the way that looks. And I also thought if I wanted to make any titles specific, I could just use my Dymo label maker with black tape inside and they would look almost just like these. So then I could kind of mix and match and add little things in there as well. So here's an example of what I'm going to do on some of these white pages here. So I am just going to add a little bit of the like random pattern paper scraps that I have. So whenever I was doing this in real life, I didn't notice it. I'm like half paying attention. You know, I was listening to a good book today, but I cut this out so bad. But whenever I add on the other piece, it's not so obvious, luckily, but I'm just adding a couple pieces of the scrap paper just to fill in the space. And I might do a summer bucket list or something there. I don't know. I was thinking about maybe adding something. I do enjoy the bucket list idea for like specific seasons. So we'll see. Maybe I'll do something like that, but I'm just adding that into place for now. And so you can't see how wonky it looked once I added that other paper. And I don't add any other embellishments because I wasn't exactly sure what I was going to end up wanting to do with that page, so I ended up just leaving it for now. Same thing with the smaller little page in the front. I'll definitely fill things in as I go, but I don't have tons and tons of pictures right now. I've got to kind of get the vibes, so I didn't want to do too much, but I knew I wanted to do a full page, so I just chose this full larger page here and I popped on a picture of me and my mom that's actually from today. So the day that I am doing this album, we went thrifting today and checked out a few places, which was really fun. And this is one of the go-to thrift stores around the area in Memphis, the Antique Warehouse Mall. And they have like this really fun, bright colored building. Like it's all this like really cool turquoise, like aqua color. So I have so many pictures of myself, with my mom, with Will, with friends by this wall over time. And so we took that picture today. I think it's really cute. So I thought, what better than to add that in for my first page? So then I'm just doing a little bit of layering. That guest check paper was I think it was from like Photo Play or something. It was a random brand and it was a random paper, but I knew that it would be fun to cut out those guest checks because that's right up my alley. So I fussy cut a couple of those. I'm adding on a few of the stickers, adding on a few of the die cuts. I love these stickers and die cuts that have specific spots for adding like the date and adding a little bit of journaling. That always comes in handy. So I'm going to layer those down at the bottom. And then I really am just focused on the photo and then all of the little embellishments, which I liked a lot. And I am going to end up adding one other little label to the bottom where I'll add a bit of journaling. So I was thinking at first, like, do I want to type the journaling? Do I want to write out the journaling? That's always something that I'm unsure about whenever I start these projects. Like whenever I was thinking of doing the bucket list, for instance, I kind of like the idea of typing that out a little bit more. But then if I'm just filling in just a little blurb about the day and on like a little label, I definitely don't mind writing that. So maybe I'll have a combo. I don't really know. I've got to just kind of feel it out as I go and see what I think looks the best. So here I added one of those tiny little envelopes from Heidi Swapp, which I thought was really, really cute. I don't know exactly what I'm going to put in it yet, but those are definitely going to be making an appearance throughout because I love a tiny little envelope. It's just adorable. So here's where I add the last label. Going to pop on just a little bit of journaling about me and my mom, and I have the first page done. I also don't know if I'm going to end up adding numbers to these. Sometimes I like that. We're just going to see how it evolves over the month. But anyway, friends, this video is over. I hope you enjoyed it. Give me a like or subscribe if you haven't, and I'll be back super soon. Have a great day, friends, and I'll talk to you later. Bye, y'all.